From Mystic Mac making some pretty bold statements during a press event, to strong chances of McGregor getting knocked by Alvarez, this is Canelo Alvarez and Conor McGregor's beef explained. Starting with how The Notorious is arguably the most popular mixed martial artist ever, and no one can deny that. With his bold personality and impressive skills in the octagon, he's become a true superstar. He's also known for his trash talk and mind games, which he uses to psych out his opponents and gain an advantage. But the fighter didn't limit himself to the world of MMA. He decided to try his hand at boxing and made some bold statements about taking on Canelo Alvarez. Boxing fans couldn't help but make fun of Mystic Mac for his comments. During the press events for the Katie Taylor vs. Chantel Cameron fight, he, along with promoter Eddie Hearn, made appearances and showed his support. And he didn't hold back, as he called out Alvarez and explained how he would take on the Mexican champion in a boxing match. More specifically, he talked about how he's a southpaw like most of Canelo's opponents. So naturally, the possibility of a fight between these two has captured everybody's attention. I mean, who can deny how awesome the beef and fights between mixed martial artists and boxers are? And just when I thought combat sports couldn't get any crazier, the two fighters decided that it'd be cool to step into the ring together. It all started when McGregor said he was past his prime and an easy target. Now, this guy isn't a stranger to boxing. Not only is he an amazing striker in the UFC, but his fight with Floyd Mayweather back in 2017 allowed everyone to see that the man can box. There's got to be a reason why the fight drew the second biggest pay-per-view audience in boxing history, right? So while he's getting ready for his return to the UFC with a fight against Michael Chandler, he's also in the market for a match against the undisputed super middleweight champ. And it seems like he's getting on Cinnamon's nerves. Why wouldn't he when he didn't hold anything back during an interview at his pub in Dublin? With his southpaw stance and sneaky angles, he believes he has everything he needs to take him down. He even said that he studied the fighters he's gone up against like Ryder and Billy Joe Saunders, and with that, he's also come to the conclusion that his rival's skills are declining. He said he'd dance around the ring with him without any problems, and maybe there's some truth to that. Let's not forget that McGregor gave Mayweather a run for his money in the early rounds. But Alvarez isn't too excited about this challenge. I mean, when he was shown a picture of him before his fight with Caleb Plant, the guy just shook his head and asked the interviewer to not even try. Now, this reaction does make sense, considering McGregor's recent fights haven't been the best. He hasn't won ever since Donald Cerrone in 2020, losing to Dustin Poirier in 2021, and going through a horrific leg injury that kept him on the sidelines. But the king is back, baby. And it seems like he wants to make a statement by taking down a boxer like Canelo. So how would a face-off between the two go down? Well, if this fight were to happen, you can expect a showdown reminiscent of Conor's fight against Floyd. That means you'd probably see him toying with Mystic Mac for a few rounds, showcasing his skills and power, and then unleashing all he's got to secure a knockout victory after the 6th round. It'd be a boxing spectacle like no other. As for all the trash talk McGregor keeps throwing at him, he isn't going to let him get away with it. After all, no boxer would be okay with getting told that they're not good enough, let alone a champ like Canelo. So it came as no surprise that when he heard what McGregor had said, he responded by saying he could take on the MMA artist with one hand tied behind his back. So what's his next move going to be now? Well, from the looks of it, he is seriously considering it and entertaining the idea of a showdown at the legendary Azteca Stadium. But before this fight happens, he's going to try and get a fight with Bivol because he's his top choice right now. Conor is just his backup in case the negotiations don't work out. By now, the boxer has made it clear that he's got bigger fish to fry than facing off against the Irish fighter. But what are the chances of the fight happening? Well, McGregor still has 2 fights left on his UFC contract, but that's not stopping him from thinking about returning to the boxing ring. He wants another boxing venture. He couldn't resist throwing shade and calling out his rival, or resisting the urge to stir the pot even more, going on social media and igniting a full-on internet battle. I mean, he called Alvarez a little ginger sausage. And as for the boxer's statement about beating him with no hands, our boy tweeted that he could beat him with no hands. Alvarez might be the undisputed favorite if these two warriors meet in the ring. After all, he's got an impressive track record and a whole lot of boxing experience. But let's not underestimate McGregor and his confidence. We've seen him go toe-to-toe with Mayweather and survive 10 whole rounds. Who knows what kind of madness would unfold if these two squared off? Unfortunately, though, this showdown might not happen anytime soon. You see, McGregor is focused on his UFC comeback at 170 pounds, while Alvarez has his commitments to fulfill. They've got separate paths to conquer, but the possibility of them meeting in the future is still up in the air. The stage is set, and the Notorious is determined to prove that it doesn't matter what combat sport it is, he never shies away from any type of challenge. I mean, let's not forget that this is the same guy who used to be a two-weight UFC champion. Considering his recent body transformation after the recovery from his injury, he looks like he could take on anybody. Not to mention, his upcoming fight against Michael Chandler has him all fired up, and he's predicting a massive victory, claiming he's too spicy for Chandler to handle. But of course, a fight with iron isn't nearly as exciting as one with Canelo. The boxing and MMA universes could collide once again, and nobody can help but wonder if these two fighters will ever step into the ring together. First things first, let's catch up on Canelo's recent wins. He successfully defended his undisputed super middleweight titles against John Ryder, securing a well-deserved victory by decision. With this win, his record now stands at 2-0 since his tough loss to Bivol in May 2022. But here's the thing. The fighter has verbally agreed to a rematch with Bivol, and this time it's going down to 175 pounds. But will these two settle their beef after they're done with their fights? Well, it's hard to say. The stars would need to align just right for these two to cross paths. But let's not lose hope, because anything can happen in the wild world of combat sports. The big question is, if they were to throw down, would it be an MMA or a boxing match? Well, in the world of boxing, fighters usually enjoy sky-high paydays, unlike their UFC counterparts. That's why we rarely see boxers venturing into the MMA realm, except for the incredible Claressa Shields, who's breaking boundaries. But when it comes to crossovers, we've seen a trend of MMA fighters testing the boxing waters, like James Toney and Randy Couture. In one corner was a renowned professional boxer with lightning-fast fists and a reputation to match. On the other was Randy Couture, a UFC heavyweight and lightweight champion, known for his grappling skills and determination. As expected, when the fight began, it became clear that Toney's inexperience in MMA would be his downfall. And in just a matter of seconds, Couture took control, expertly maneuvering him to the ground. And once he hit the canvas, he found himself in a position he couldn't escape from. After just 3 minutes and 19 seconds, the roar of the crowd filled the arena as fans watched in awe. James, unable to withstand the relentless pressure, decided to submit. He tapped out, acknowledging Couture's dominance and accepting defeat. MMA fighters rarely ever come out on top. But hey, at least they secure the biggest paydays of their career. But if McGregor and Alvarez were to go at it, it'd most likely be in the boxing realm. And not gonna lie, Conor's striking skills are pretty good. I mean, he traded blows with Mayweather for an impressive 10 rounds and even landed a solid uppercut at one point. But still, the big question is whether or not he'll bring his A-game and outshine the mighty Canelo in a boxing match. It's an interesting idea that'll probably make them more money than they could imagine. So from the strong chances of McGregor getting knocked out by Canelo to bold claims directed toward the boxing champ, this was the Canelo Alvarez and Conor McGregor beef explained.